I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is typically our scheduled audience for the public, and this evening there is no comments. Tonight is that kind of rare meeting where we elect our board positions, and so I'd like to start off with report of the secretary. This will be consideration and action to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of Wednesday, March 3rd, 2013.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, June 7th, 2023.
Second.
Fantastic. Any comments?
Another sterling job, I'll say that.
And these, did everyone get the updated minutes?
Yes.
I think you don't have to put it on labels, no need. I mean, for me, I don't know if, I don't want extra work, the labels on the folders. Yeah, I know that costs quite a bit, but I'm don't need it, but.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that's 5-0. The next is the election of board officers. The first item of business is consideration and action to nominate a board chair. Are there any nominations?
I move to nominate Joe Lund, board chair.
Second. Heather? Oh, does that make sense?
Any other nominations? Okay, we have a nomination and a second. All in favor of Joe Long being the board chair?
Is it okay if I vote for
Yes,
myself?
you can. Opposed? Okay, that's 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Long.
Thank you, I'll take that.
Here's your
gavel
gavel back. Here you
Thank
go.
Okay, thank you, fellow board members, for your continued confidence. Next item of business is the election of a vice chair. Do we have any nominations, please, for board vice chair?
I'll move to nominate Jen Therian.
Second, Heather?
Any other nominations, comments, or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, that brings us to the report of the chair. And the next item of business we have is to refresh our committee assignments, which we do at this meeting every year. Our bylaws recently updated require that we actually have a motion and a vote on each of the committees, but let's just have a moment, or let's talk through who wants to be on which committee. This past year was Heather and Rebecca and I on F&F, Rebecca, Lisa, and Jen on policy, Heather, Kate, and myself on negotiations, and Kate, Lisa, and Jen on wellness and SEL. Anybody thinking they want to change it up this year?
No, I feel like I didn't get to do anything for negotiation committee once again, so I'd like to
This
be
will
on
be
the
good.
committee once
Yeah.
again.
You're
And I've been-
You're gonna get a bonus plan this
Yeah,
year.
exactly, but I've been waiting for it for a while, and then I'd like to stay on the finance and facilities committee. I think that's where I'm best suited.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts about their
I
assignments?
would like to stay where I am.
Yeah. Okay,
I'd like to stay where I am as well.
okay, good,
I'm happy to stay where I am.
okay.
And I think Lisa likes being on the cell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does.
Yep, she did. Good, all right.
Very easiest yet.
Yeah, all right, so we'll keep the committee assignments.
Are you happy
as
where you are? You're okay?
deliberates. Yes, of course,
Okay.
yes. Okay, so if I may have a motion, please, with regard to the F&F committee.
I move to elect the Finance and Facilities Committee, Rebecca, Joe, Heather, and company.
That's it.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second, Jen.
Jen, thank you very much. Assume there's no comments or questions, all in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. And may I have a motion, please, with regard to ed policy?
I move to elect the Educational Policy Committee of Rebecca, Jen, and Lisa.
Yep.
I'll second
Thank you,
Kate.
Kate. All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you very much. A motion, please, with regard to the Negotiations Committee.
I move to elect the negotiations committee. Heather, but then I forgot the other two.
I think I was on it.
And, oh, yeah.
Yes.
Kate and Joe.
Yes. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you,
Sorry
Kate.
about that.
No.
All in favor? That's also 5-0, thank you. And lastly, a motion with regard to Wellness SEL.
I'll move to elect the Wellness SEL Committee, being Jen Therian, Lisa Flynn, and myself, Kate Clayson.
Oh, second.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just watching you.
All in
right?
favor? And that is 5-0. Great, we have our committees for this year. Thank you all very much. Next item on my report, MSBA call to action. This is a reminder, we agreed at our last meeting that I would serve as the delegate to the delegate assembly for this board. I will attend the regional meeting in September, wherein the resolutions that are to be discussed by the delegates will be presented. You all are welcome to attend that meeting as well. There'll be a notice that comes out for it. I don't have the dates memorized, but it's sometime in late October. The delegate assembly takes place on the day before the two-day conference, so.
What you
you
said, the
should see
25th
notifications
and
for
the
that
26th.
conference in your email shortly. Next thing on the list, this is the time of year where we typically set aside some time to review the board bylaws. We actually did a decent review of them last year and made some updates as a result of that review, which included having to vote on all the committees. I would ask you all to have a look at the bylaws between now and our next meeting, and if you want to propose any changes, get back to me, please, and we'll make sure to get them on the agenda. Okay, just to reconfirm, our summer board meeting dates will be July 12th and August 23rd. Okay, and then the last thing that we do at this time of year is to update our board bios and our FOAA training. As regards the bios, they're on the webpage, and there's no change in personnel this year because you got reelected. Thank you. But if there's any changes you want to make to your bios, just send them in, okay? And then the Freedom of Access Act training, if you go to the maine.gov website and look up Freedom of Access Act, there is a page that contains frequently asked questions. Reviewing that page constitutes the training.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah.
So if you go ahead and just review that page, I believe there's a form that we have to sign. So
We have to sign the, can you provide us with
yeah,
that
I will, yeah,
form?
and I will find the link to that page and send it to you all.
Ah, nice, that's even better. And then, if one of our committee members had a bio edit, who do we send that to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Rebecca Williams.
Rebecca Williams? Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good answer. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the report of the chair and brings us.
My list is the Sportsmanship Awards for the 2022-2023 school year. I'm not sure if you saw the newspapers, but we received our 6th Sportsmanship Award this year, which was really neat because we were the first in the state to do that, and we held the state record for about an hour. I guess Brewer received 5 in the springtime, so they now have 7, but
Oh.
still, I think it's obviously a great testament to the high school, to the work that our coaches, athletes, Mr. Buzzle, all take part in and do a great job with. But I also think, I've said it before, but I'll go back to, when we established our district goals, the civility was a goal that we really valued at the beginning of the school year. We talked about one of those 4 things. And so if you need a tangible example of what that looks like, here's an opportunity to see that. So something that we're really, really proud of, and just something that we want to continue to emphasize.
Yep. That's great. And that 6th one was for baseball, was it not?
6 was baseball
Yep.
this past spring. Yep. So they went up, I believe it was yesterday, Monday, to receive that during the state championship.
That's great.
So, yep, fantastic.
Congratulations to all those teams.
Yes. The next on our agenda is we've had some conversations around turf and whether we want to install a turf at Marshwood High School or not at the stadium. And so Mr. Buzzell put together kind of a group of people to start kind of bantering around the conversation, pluses and minuses. Let's talk about big picture, let's talk about finances. And so I think our next step would have them come back to the board and kind of present where they are and what their findings are. This is going to be one of those issues that, there's going to be people all over the board on it.
Sure.
Whether it's worth the money, it is worth the money. PFAS, coconut fibers, there's a lot that kind of goes into the conversation around turf. And so ultimately, this would be the type of thing where we would have to go to the community to see if we would have funding to be able to do that. I'm not sure we're miles away from that right now, but I just think we want to be able to have a conversation to find out where the work this committee has done, present that to you, and then talk about the next steps.
Right. So we would just be listening to their presentations, and that would be that. Like, we wouldn't be discussing it
Yeah.
at all.
So,
We would just listen, right?
This is how I see it in my brain.
Okay.
Is that we would have the conversation, and really kind of the next step is really to talk about feasibility. Right, so here's the big idea, here are the pluses and minuses, here are the big picture things that are going on. Like, for instance, we know that within the next 3 to 5 years, we're gonna need to, we need to redo our track. That's something that we know is gonna have to happen. So that we have that as one of the parameters that we're having that discussion. How does it benefit? What is the benefit of having the turf? What's not the benefit of having the turf? Those kind of conversations. This is the work that they've done. I think it's gonna come down to the board saying, look, it's basically a $10,000 cost to have civil consultants come in and do kind of a feasibility design to see if we can do this or not. Does the board want to take that next step? That's really going to be the question. Don't necessarily have to answer it that night, but I think for them, that's kind of, it's kind of the order of events. It's not just as easy saying, yeah, we want to get a turf. I think we've got to really see if it's, what's it look like, give an idea what the cost is going to be, what's the scope of the work. That would be kind of that next step before we even say, yes, we want to take it to the community or not. So that would kind of be the next step in the process.
Yeah, and can we not make that decision of the $10,000 for the consultant public right then and there? Can we have time to think about it?
Yeah, of course.
And digest all of these components? Because I know it is a big decision for the community financially and athletically.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that comes up frequently is that, is it worth the money? And then the other part of it is it solves the problem for a period of time. But if you go down that road, you understand that within the next, and I'm going to use rough numbers, but the next 12 to 15 years, you're going to have to redo that again. So it is a reoccurring cost over time.
It has a half-life.
And I'm not advocating one way or another. I just don't think it's as easy to say, hey, yeah, it would be great to have a turf. Like, that's not where my brain is. I think there's a lot that kind of goes into this decision. So I think we would probably want to have an opportunity to process it and discuss it a little bit before we make
Please.
the decisions.
Thank you.
So they'll come in at our next meeting?
Yeah, Mr. Buzzell, we'll put that group together. And I think the great thing about the group is they were all over the place. Like, it wasn't like everyone's,
Good.
down this road. I think there's a lot of there's concerns raised, there's benefits raised. I think it was a really productive conversation that they had, so.
Great.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Forward to that.
All right, so I just wanted to talk quickly about the district budget referendum. And so within my folder, we have kind of the information here, but the town of Elliott was 513 to 178 in favor of the budget. The town of South Berwick was 153 in favor and 133 against the budget, for a total of
33.
666.
There's 33.
33, just 33, sorry.
33 against.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which is interesting, I mean, very, very low, but this seems to be the cycle in South Berwick. If you kind of look back over time, every other year it does seem to be, when there's not anything else on the budget.
Yeah, it was the only thing on the ballot.
Yeah. And so we're right around that 76 to 24%, 74 to 26%, that ballpark where we typically fall. And so just to kind of give you a sense, there is some longitudinal data that's in your packets, which kind of shows what the last 10 years have looked like as well, if you'd like to take a look at that. Any questions about anything?
I would just say that I'm personally thankful to both communities for their
100%.
continued support.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, that concludes my report.
No students tonight.
No students.
Okay, in correspondence, we did have one item of correspondence. The Elliott Town Clerk, Wendy Roski, reached out with the election results for the SAD 35 Board of Directors position. You beat the bank ballot, so that was very good. So welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone.
We got the official results. That brings us to report of the committees. First up, Finance and Facilities met earlier this evening. The first item on the agenda was a presentation from Timothy Gill at RKO, who is our auditing firm, on the results of the audit for the 2021-2022 school year, the fiscal year 2022. The highlights for me were that there were no material weaknesses identified, no significant deficiencies reported, with any of the financial statements or the federal awards or any of that stuff. It was all very clean. They did come back with a set of 4 comments. This first one will sound familiar, and that is segregation of duties. To absolutely minimize risk of mistakes, they like to suggest to school districts that they hire more people to do fewer things, and that's just not something that's feasible for us. They had 2 comments with regard to activity funds. This is another subject that's ongoing. It provides, it presents additional potential risk, and the first one is that the use of gift cards. Their recommendation was that we have a very well-documented process for writing down who gets the gift cards and when and for how much and all of that stuff, and I think we're following those recommendations now. The second one has to do with activity fund receipts, particularly cash, and the need to get them deposited in the bank quickly. So these are things that we're taking to heart. The fourth comment was with regard to documentation of contracted rates of pay for things like adult ed teachers. And again, I think that's a recommendation that we all agree with and are taking to heart. Not that they, in any of these areas, did they find any problems, just that these are areas that could present risk to the district. So that was the summary of the audit. It was good to hear. A quick review of the May numbers. At the end of May, our general fund cash balance was in good shape, or pretty good shape, to use Ryan's words, with expenditures and revenues close to each other and right around the budget number. Adult education is on a path to spend down to 0, as it always does by the end of the year. Food service is sitting right at about break even, but we're expecting profit in May. And federal grants continue to come in slowly, but we're starting to see that the negative sort of creep back up towards 0. So as that money comes in, that is starting to improve. Would either of you like to report on the other areas that we talked about?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see. The next thing that we discussed was to take a look at the employee handbooks to make sure that the language on there was appropriate for the health benefits for those employees that are either 30 hours versus 40 hours, and making sure that we have the correct funding for those different benefits and not overpaying if people aren't working the 30 hours versus 40 hours. The facility update, well, things are starting to get repaired that were in the budget, like the cupola, the clock tower, the windows. We're getting the ball rolling on that, and then putting in the pony boiler here at the high school. So we're excited to start to see those things starting to come together. And also the tennis courts are being repaired and repainted, and they're going to include a pickleball over in the tennis courts with gray and purple colors. Transportation, the second bus that we ordered last summer is finally here, and it's in the garage. It just needs to get registered. And there's 2 more buses being ordered that we will get next spring. That's on the agenda for that. And then the food service update, there was a meeting with the managers, with Chartwell's, about hours and meals, and it just looks like things are really going well now and running a lot smoother and more efficiently, so we're happy to see that there's been a change in that. And we signed the contract with Casella, so we'll be transitioning soon over to that for their service, and also we're going to make sure that we have some nice bins throughout the school and through maybe over by the fields to make sure that there's appropriate bins to put the recycling in. So we're excited to have that around the campus and in the schools.
Yes.
Yep. And that's it. I think that's all I have.
That's good. I'm so excited
Yeah.
for those improvements, especially with the single sort.
Yep.
It's pretty exciting and great.
Okay. Second up, Ed Policy will next meet on the 28th of June, that's next week. We have 4 policies on our new business tonight for second reading, so we'll get to those, we'll talk about them when we get to them. And then Wellness and SEL will next meet on September 6th. So I think that concludes the report of the committees. And brings us to new business. And we'll start with the voting on the budget. May I have a motion, please, with regard to that declaration of votes? And please read it as written.
Can we read where it says voted? Like
Yes.
the legal thing?
Yep.
Okay. Voted that the computation and declaration of votes dated June 13th, 2023, attached here to, attached here to, be hereby approved.
Second, Heather?
Comments or questions?
There's no legal mumbo jumbo in that at all.
Yeah, hereby. And this is the attached computation of votes. It's in your
Mhm.
packet.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, right.
John, you read the numbers to us a minute ago. Okay, all in favor? And it's 5-0, thank you. And the second motion, please, about entering those on the record.
Further voted that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of the district.
Second,
Jen, very good. Okay, any comments or questions? All in favor? That is also 5-0, thank you. And thirdly,
Further voted that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the town clerks within the district.
Second, Jen.
Jen, very good. All in favor? That is 5-0. Excellent. Thank you. That moves us into a bunch of nominations. I have a motion, please, with regard to Amanda Anicelli.
I move to approve Amanda Anicelli, first-year probationary teacher, kindergarten, Elliott Elementary School, school year 2023-2024, from previously approved EA 04, $49,263 to Masters 06, $56,862.
I'll second.
Can we get a second first?
Yeah, I'll second.
Both you, Kate? Yeah, go ahead, please.
So we voted on Amanda already.
Yes.
There was a misprint on the agenda, and so we voted at BA4, and it actually should be Masters 6, and so we saw the error, and we wanted to make sure it was correct as we were bringing it back.
Okay.
Make that change with the board tonight.
Questions about that? All in favor? Fixing what we did wrong. Excellent. Thank you very much.
I don't see it.
May I have a motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Christine Goulet?
I move to approve the nomination of Christine Goulet, Principal, Marshwood Middle School, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, $120,855.
Second, Jen.
Jen, thank you. Did you have anything?
I
further
sure
you
do.
wish to say?
Really excited to bring Christine's name before you this evening. Christine would come to us from Jameson Elementary School in Old Orchard Beach, where she's the Dean of Students. She's also served as a resiliency coordinator for the Biddeford Public Schools, been a second grade teacher at the Biddeford Primary Schools, and had 13 years of sixth grade experience in Scarborough. In addition, she does some adjunct professor work at the University of Southern Maine, and also is safety care trained, which is a great thing. We had an opportunity to go to Old Orchard Beach and do a site visit, just overwhelmed by the positivity and the passion in which the staff shared for Christine. They were upset that she was leaving, felt really good that we made a great decision, so I bring Christine's name before you this evening.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you. That's 5-0. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Thank you for coming. Okay, moving along. Motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Daniel McComb.
I move to approve the nomination of Daniel McComb, first-year probationary teacher, Health, Marshwood High School, school year 2023 to 2024, Masters 06, $56,862.
Second, Rebecca.
Thank you. So this is the position that we envisioned being, a partial health position, but also really that freshman academy transitions position. So this is really how we're talking about making engagement and really giving skills, students the skills they need to be successful at Marshall High School. So Daniel joins us from Shapley Elementary School, middle school, where he's a health teacher. Also was formerly in Portland, Oregon. And so moved back to the New England area. He graduated from the University of New Hampshire. And is currently working on his certificate of advanced graduate study at University of New England. So I'm really excited about Daniel's energy. We had a long conversation about really this being a little bit of a unique approach to health, where a lot of this is giving those kids those skills, those lifelong social emotional skills necessary to be successful as a student, and when you're challenged, those adversity hits you. So we're really excited about the opportunity the board's given us for this position.
Great. Questions, comments? All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Motion please with regard to the nomination of Violetta Archila? Archila?
Yeah. Chilla. Yeah.
And my apologies to that.
I move to approve the nomination of Violetta Archila, first-year probationary teacher, Spanish, Marshwood High School, school year 2023 to 2024, master's, step 9, $61,697.
Second, Rebecca.
Rebecca, thank you.
So Violetta is coming back to us. She left just prior to the pandemic, or just at the very beginning of the pandemic, I should say. And so some circumstances have changed. We had an opening, and so she's going to be returning to Marshall High School to teach Spanish. Obviously, fantastic whenever we can find a qualified Spanish teacher. Violetta attended Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, and also Simmons College in Boston, Massachusetts. So really excited to have Violetta back.
Questions or comments? All in favor? That is 5-0, thank you. Good. A motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Lauren Dow.
I move to approve the nomination of Lauren Dow, first-year probationary teacher, art, Marshwood High School, school year 23-24, BA 07, $53,158.
Second, Jen.
Thank you. John?
So I'm really excited to have Lauren join us. She is a resident of Elliott, really has some hands-on real-life experience in art. And so there's been some adult courses that she's offered and done some work with students. But it's really excited about the fresh perspective that we're going to be able to add to our program. Joining us from Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston, Massachusetts. So we're really excited to have Lauren joining us.
That's great. Questions or comments? All in favor? 5-0, thank you very much.
I mean, metal arts, that's just so neat.
Yes.
That's just such a neat thing, so.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time actually talking about ELO work and just on helping kind of create those opportunities for kids who have that passion for art outside of the traditional art classroom. And so the Sanctuary Arts, where she's been working, just a great opportunity that we might be able to open up, so put her, ask her to get in contact with Rob Scully to be able to talk about growing that program.
Yeah, and we can
That's
just
nice.
tag her into that Zen garden we've been wanting with some sculptures in it. That would be nice. Like,
Definitely, you can take care of that. Yep. She's great.
Okay, next is a motion, please, for the nomination of Dr. Sharon Drew.
I move to approve the nomination of Dr. Sharon Drew, school psychologist, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, FTE .75, $75,000.
Second, Rebecca.
Thank you.
So this is a position that we talked about a couple of years ago, where Dr. Tom Grabowski was in that role for us. And so what we're trying to do is, if we have an in-house school psychologist, when we have to do the assessments for special education, we don't have to go out and pay a consultant fee to do that. So this should hopefully be a cost savings for us. And so Sharon is able to do 3/4 time for us, and so that really gives us some flexibility. We are also looking to pair this with another part of the position, another half-time positions. We have like 1.25 people. This year, I think we basically had 2 full-time people. Obviously, that was one of the concerns that we had, so we're trying to find a way to streamline the costs for this, and this is part of our cost management for special education. So Sharon has come in and done stuff for us in the past. She's fantastic, so we're really lucky that she wants to join us.
is she keeping her other position in Rye as well?
She's there's a different maternity leave position in a different school district, and so she wasn't able to commit full-time, and so that's why we did the +5. So, yeah. the great thing is that she already kind of knows our systems and has worked with us in the past through Dr. Grabowski's office, so it's a positive.
Very good. Other comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, that concludes the nominations and brings us to our second readings. May I have a motion, please, with regard to the second reading on IJNDC-E?
I'll move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy IJNDC-E, guidelines governing the publishing of student information on the MSAD 35 website.
I'll second, Rebecca.
Thank you. This hasn't changed since our last reading. Anybody have any concerns, comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's 5-0. Motion, please, with regard to EGAD.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy EGAD, copyright compliance.
Second, Heather?
Thank you. Same observation. Second read, no changes since last time. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to JIC.
I'll move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy JICK, bullying.
Second, Heather?
Thank you. Same drill. No changes since last time. Comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? That is also 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to CHB.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy CHB, policy review.
Go ahead.
Second, Kate.
Thank you. Comments or questions? All in favor? 5-0, thank you. That completes the second reads and brings us to one of these items that we do every year with regard to transferring funds. So I can have a motion, please, with regard to allowing the superintendent to transfer funds.
I move to approve the superintendent to transfer funds up to 5% from one cost center to another.
Second, Rebecca.
Rebecca, okay. Do you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, so this is a yearly request that we have under Maine state law. We are allowed to be able to move up to 5% in between cost lines, and so cost centers, excuse me. And so this is a typical thing that we do at the end of the year to balance the budget.
Yeah, but budgets being budgets.
You know, we may
can't
spend more
exactly
in
predict the
facilities,
future,
you know,
sure.
this year, for instance, our repair services for our buses was elevated because our mechanic left, so we had to take a lot of work outside the district. So
Mhm.
that's gonna be higher, so we're gonna have to compensate that with a different way, and so
Right.
that's all that matter, that 5%.
Anybody have questions about this, or comments or concerns? Okay, all in favor? Thank you, very good. Oh, all right, we have a couple of lease purchases, actually 3 of them. I have a motion, please, with regard to that first one with regard to school buses, excuse me.
I move that the vote entitled "Vote to Authorize Lease Purchase of 2 New School Buses" in the principal amount of $262,956 be adopted in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
Second, Jen.
Jen, thank you. Okay. This is the regular cadence of replenishing our bus fleet, right?
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
remember, we order a bus now, and we'll
Mhm.
see it in, 9 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And so this is all part of the process.
Yeah.
Again, reminder that this bus payment is not part of this current budget, it would be part of the following year's budget. But these are the 2 buses that we're getting state subsidy for, and we try to align the state subsidy with our reimbursement, with the payments at the same time, so.
Got it.
Budgeting strategy.
Comments or questions? A copy of the lease agreement appears to be in the packet, so. All right, all in favor? Okay, that's 5-0, thank you. I have a motion, please, with regard to the lease purchase of technology equipment.
I move that the vote entitled "Vote to Authorize Lease Purchase of Information Technology Equipment" in the principal amount of $180,566.25 be adopted in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
Second, Rebecca.
Rebecca, thank you.
So just as a reminder, this has kind of been the technology purchasing plan where we have a series of leases that we turn over every number of years. So we have that buying power every year of around $150,000 to $180,000 to be able to do that. So this is the typical cycle that we're on. Yep.
25 cents.
And 20, I saw that. Make sure it's in there.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. And then, please, a motion with regard to the lease purchase of some miscellaneous stuff here.
I move that the vote entitled "Vote to Authorize Lease Purchase of a Maintenance Truck, Bus Scraper, and Wheelchair Van in the principal amount of $194,880 be adopted in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be filed with the minutes of this meeting."
I'll second.
Kate, thank you. So this bundles the three things. We talked about each of these in preparation for our budget.
Mhm.
Any comments or questions, concerns? No? Okay, all in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Okay, looks like we're really coming into the home stretch here. May I have a motion, please, with regard to the fuel reserve account?
I move to approve the expenditure of up to $300,000 from the fuel reserve account to pay for overages in the transportation department.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you.
So remember last year when we had our district budget meeting, this was a separate vote that allowed us to be able to create this fuel reserve. When we created the budget last year, fuel was at a real high at that point in time, and so we budgeted as best we could for that, but we also knew that our fuel costs may be higher just based on where the market was falling at that point in time. And so it is our hope not to use this, but we just have to have the reality of fuel was more expensive, and so this gives us the ability that if we need to, that we could use it.
Right. Okay, any comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the special education reserve account.
I move to approve expenditure of up to $200,000 from the special ed reserve account to pay for overages in the special education department.
Second, Heather?
Thank you, Heather. Similar.
Similar, yes, exactly right.
Okay, any comments or questions about that? Okay, all in favor? Thank you, 5-0. We're getting it done. I have a motion with regard to this main PERS.
I'll move to approve the vote entitled RSU 35 MS80 35 to join main PERS PERS effective July 1st, 2023 for its non-teacher plan administrators as written.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you. John, go ahead.
So we discussed this over the winter time, and so we have people, the way main PERS works with the teachers is that you have to be working directly with students in order to qualify for that retirement program. So this is a second retirement program that they offer for non-teaching staff, and so that would be like our business major would fall within that. So this is what that would be.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Comments, questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, great, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the administrator's contract.
I'll move to approve the terms of employment for administrators as outlined within contractual agreement for administrators from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026, as discussed during executive session.
Second.
Thank you.
And this is the building-based administrators that we talked
Yes.
about.
Yep. Comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? That's 5-0, thank you very much. Last item of new business. Motion, please, to authorize the board chairperson to do some stuff.
I move to authorize the MSAD 35 Board Chairperson to enter into an extension of the contract of Superintendent of Schools in accordance with the terms discussed in the executive session.
Second.
Jen, thank you very much.
And this was the executive session that was held on June 7th.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep. Very good. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? It's 5-0. Very good, thank you. Now, it says here, building administrators check-in, and the middle school is on there, so maybe we should, no, I'm just totally kidding.
I'm just kind of sweating.
I will say that we had a district data day yesterday.
Okay.
So we had an opportunity to look at really, attendance, NWEA scores, disciplinary information. So Christine did join us yesterday as an observer, working with middle school staff, and have a chance to meet things. So it was an incredible day. A lot of work was done, and it will allow us, when we meet in July, to be able to have our workshop talking about board values. That's information I can bring to you, saying as we come out of that, here are 2 or 3 areas that we really feel like we need to focus on next year as a district. So just a great step in the process that we talked about.
That's great. Thank you. Does anyone on the board have anything, last comment?
Lots of jobs posted for our school district, I noticed. So, yeah, get the word out to your community members or driving distance. I think we really need a mechanic.
We need a mechanic.
So, yeah, spread the word, please.
I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who prepared for graduation. If it was gonna rain, if it's not gonna rain, they did a fantastic job. It was lovely. And to all the teachers who showed up, thank you.
Yes.
It was lovely.
Okay. Anything else? In that case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second, Kate.
All in favor? That is 5